All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to challenge a core teaching in modern Christianity. It's one that might actually be weakening the church from the inside out. We're going to explore the true meaning of grace.
So I want to start with a statement that might feel a little uncomfortable, maybe even dangerous. Grace is not unmerited favor. Now, if that sentence puts you on edge, it's probably because the modern church has been taught a version of grace that, frankly, requires nothing, corrects nothing, and ultimately produces nothing.
So, this popular understanding of grace, where does it even come from? It's really more from tradition than it is from the Bible. And whenever traditions start to remove our personal responsibility, they almost always lead to a lukewarm faith. A faith that's, it's comfortable, but it's not transformative.
For decades, we've all heard this phrase, right? Grace is unmerited favor. It's easy to see why it got so popular. I mean, it really does emphasize God's incredible generosity. But in its simplicity, does it tell the whole story? Let's break down what this definition is actually implying. The implication is pretty clear. Your posture, your attitude, your obedience, none of it really matters. Hey, you didn't do anything to earn it, so you don't need to do anything to maintain it. God just pours His grace out on you no matter what. But this leads to a pretty big logical problem. I mean, think about it. If grace were truly unconditional in this way, then everybody who hears the gospel would receive it equally. You could have the exact same sermon, the same invitation, the same altar call, and yet one person responds and another one just walks away. So, what's the difference? What separated the person who received grace from the one who rejected it?
The Bible, believe it or not, does not shy away from this question. Actually, it gives a very direct, very plain answer. It draws a super clear line in the sand.
This one verse, right here, it completely dismantles the idea of a completely unconditional grace. It tells us that grace is given, but it's given selectively. It's not for the proud. It's for the humble.
And this isn't some new idea that just showed up with the New Testament church. Proverbs says the exact same thing. This principle is absolutely timeless. Grace has always followed humility. Just look at the contrast here. It's so stark. On one side, pride says, I'm fine, I don't need any help. But the moment you adopt that posture, you're actually being resisted by God. On the other side, humility surrenders. It acknowledges weakness. And that posture doesn't just invite grace, it becomes a channel for it. So here's the crucial point, the bottom line. Humility isn't just some nice character trait to have. It's not an optional add-on for the super spiritual among us. No, it is the very entry point for the grace of God. So if humility is the entry point for grace, what's the barrier? What slams the door shut? Well, it's pride. The two are in direct opposition.
Now, let's be clear. Humility isn't passive or accidental. It costs something. It requires the actual effort of honesty, of confronting yourself, of admitting your weakness. This isn't self-righteous work. This is the intentional work of surrender. And that surrender matters to God. It's the very thing He responds to. Okay, so this brings us to a really radical shift in perspective. If grace isn't just a passive pardon, then what is it? Well, Scripture presents grace as an active, dynamic force in the life of a believer. The book of Titus gives one of the clearest definitions of grace in the entire Bible. It says grace teaches us, or even better, it trains us. It's like an active instructor in the school of holiness. This slide right here illustrates the true function of grace. This is grace in action. It's that inner strengthening that helps you turn off the screen, or walk away from gossip, or respond with patience instead of anger. See, it's not a permission slip to sin. It's the divine empowerment to overcome it. It equips us for a life of holiness, a life set apart for God's purposes. So if someone claims to be living under grace, but has zero power to say no to sin, then something is deeply, deeply wrong with their understanding of grace. So here's a new way to think about it. Grace is spiritual energy. The book of Hebrews actually tells us it's a good thing for the heart to be strengthened by grace. It's God's favor releasing His power into a humbled heart, enabling us to live above the pull of our fallen nature. So why does this matter so much right here, right now? Because a misunderstanding of grace doesn't just lead to bad theology, it leads to a powerless church.
A generation that believes grace requires nothing from them will never pursue holiness. A church that disconnects God's favor from the posture of humility will just become confident, noisy, and completely powerless. And honestly, we see the symptoms everywhere. People claiming salvation while resisting obedience, claiming faith while refusing correction. This isn't grace, it's deception wearing church clothes.
So let's bring this all to a close with the core truth. Real, biblical grace is God's divine power flowing into a heart that has been humbled. It strengthens the weak who admit they are weak, and it teaches the willing who admit they don't know it all.
And that leaves us with one final crucial question to ask ourselves. Not, am I covered by grace, but maybe, is my posture one of genuine humility? Is your humility making way for His grace to flow? Or is your pride resisting the very power that you need?